Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today I'm going to be going over my picks for the top 10 best supercars to buy in Grand Theft Auto Online in 2024. Now on this list we have some budget-friendly options, we also have some super expensive options, some supercars that are going to perform extremely well, some ones that are good for free mode, as well as some that are good for racing. Overall this is going to be a really good list, we got some honorable mentions on here too. Let's go ahead and get started with number 10. But before we get into it, drop a like on the video. Let's shoot for 5,000 likes, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and let's go ahead and get started with number 10. To get things started at number 10, we have a super budget-friendly option. A fan favorite, this is the Pegassi Zentorno, coming in at $725,000. I remember the day the Zentorno came out in Grand Theft Auto Online with the release of the High Life DLC, and I remember getting up for school early that day just so I could hop on GTA and play the game and test out the Zentorno. And when I first got in the Zentorno, the thing that stuck out to me the most was the insanely fast acceleration. This thing is super quick. I remember at the time I thought it rivaled the Voltic, which was probably the fastest accelerating car in the game at the time, and it was faster, and I was like, holy, this thing's like crazy. And at the time, $725,000 in GTA was quite a bit of money. So buying this thing, it was definitely worth it. And even to this day, it is still one of the faster supercars in the entire game for racing. So if you want to take this thing on like some stunt racing circuits, stuff like that, you could still potentially do pretty alright, albeit not nearly as good as some of the top supercars in the game now, but it is still a very competitive vehicle. It's got some nice customization, and it had added customization with the release of the Criminal Enterprises DLC in the summer of 2022. Another cool fact about the Zentorno is the back of it doesn't allow bullets to be shot from behind and hit the driver or the passenger. So that is pretty cool, although not that cool considering the Depressor Mark IIs exist now. It has a decent top speed, pretty great handling, and lightning fast acceleration. Couple that with all the new customization that it has, and this is easily a top 10 best supercar in the game. Next up at number 9, we have another Pegassi vehicle, and this is the Tempesta. A little bit faster than the Zentorno and a little bit more expensive, coming in at $1,329,000. The Tempesta is an awesome supercar. I also remember the day that this came out into GTA Online, I got up early, got on GTA to test it out because it looked like a Lamborghini Huracan, and it still does to this day, although not quite as realistic as some of the newer cars that we've been getting into Grand Theft Auto Online. This thing is still pretty awesome. It doesn't have a lot in the way of customization, however the performance of this thing is insanely good. It will definitely outpace the Zentorno on a racetrack, and at one time this was actually the fastest supercar in the entire game for racing. So that was pretty cool. The Tempest is a good looking vehicle, definitely an interesting one. It is all-wheel drive similar to the Zentorno. Overall, it's just a classic Pegassi vehicle, and it's definitely one that I would recommend looking into if you've never had one before. At number 8, we have the True Fade Thrax, coming in at $2,325,000. Honestly, a bargain for what you're getting. The only thing that I don't like about the Thrax is the relatively low top speed. Tops out around 125 miles per hour, I believe, which is a little bit weak for some of the top supercars in the game. However, it does make up for it in the handling department because this is arguably one of the best handling supercars in the entire game. It's absolutely insane. It's like it's glued to the road. It's extremely good in the corners. On top of this, it also has a ton of customization, more than pretty much any other True Fade vehicle in the game, other than maybe the Nero Custom, but that thing is just a full-blown race car. The Thrax still looks like it is a car that you can find on the street, although it is definitely very aggressive looking as well. It has probably, arguably, the coolest stock wheels in the entire game. These things look absolutely amazing, and on PC you can do a stock wheel color glitch to change them into a different color, which is absolutely awesome. The Thrax is definitely a pretty sick car, and it is definitely one that I would recommend owning in GTA Online if you don't have one already, especially if you're looking for a good handling supercar with decent acceleration as well. Next up at number 7, we have the Dubocci Wagner, arguably the best bang for your buck car in Grand Theft Auto Online as far as performance goes. The Wagner is insanely quick, coming in at just $1,535,000. It's rear wheel drive, but it is super light and has great acceleration with a very high top speed of around 126 miles an hour with insanely high downforce. So this thing is definitely a race car for the road in GTA Online. It's insanely good on track, it's insanely good on the roads. It looks great. It has a decent amount of customization, I would say, maybe not as much as some of the newest cars in the game, but it still has enough to satisfy you, especially at that relatively low price tag for what you're getting. This thing absolutely destroys the supercars category. Even to this day, it's probably a top 12 fastest supercar, something like that. It's very, very quick. I use it all the time on stunt racing tracks, and it's just an awesome car in general. Next up, number 6, a car that you will definitely be familiar with if you've been playing the game for a few years. This is the Benefactor Krieger, known as the fastest supercar for several years for racing on last-gen consoles as well as PC, basically before the game got re-released onto the newest generation of console. It goes for $2,875,000, which is a relatively steep price tag for what you're getting. It is still an awesome car, but it doesn't have a ton in the way of customization, but the performance is definitely where this thing gets ahead. It's very quick, it is all-wheel drive, it has insanely good acceleration, the handling is awesome, it's really hard to get this thing to actually spin out and lose control of it. The top speed is also pretty competitive as well. It's a pretty good looking car. It is based off the Mercedes AMG 1, and it's definitely something that I would recommend owning in the game, just maybe not as much as some of the top supercars that are going to be on this list ahead of it. It is still awesome though. Definitely keep this one on your radar. Next up at number 5, we have the brand new Grotti Turismo Omaggio coming in at $2,845,000. A relatively expensive price for what you're getting, but this thing does actually have the performance to back it up as well as the customization. This is definitely one of the best handling supercars I've ever driven in GTA Online. It has a great turn-in response. The acceleration is also very good, especially off the line for being only rear-wheel drive. And it does have a relatively high top speed as well. In my opinion, the best thing about this car is the customization. There's a ton that you can do to it. You can make it look really awesome. It is just generally an awesome looking car as well. And the performance is definitely an added bonus to the vehicle. Now, the only real complaint that I have about the Omaggio is it only has one color option. You've got a primary color option, and it does the interior as well, which is kind of a shame. I do wish that we did get a secondary color option. It's kind of insane that we don't on a nearly $3 million car, but that's besides the point. The Omaggio is still an awesome car, and you should own it in GTA Online. Next up at number 4, we have the Progen Emrys coming in at $2,750,000. This is the opposite car to the Benefactor Krieger. Everybody says the Progen Emrys and the Krieger are both of the fastest supercars in the entire game, and they definitely used to be, and they definitely used to be rivals. The Emrys is a little bit cheaper, and it definitely has a higher skill ceiling. If you are a really good racer, the Emrys will be a better car for you, and you will achieve a faster lap time using the Emrys in comparison to the Krieger. It's rear-wheel drive, and it is definitely a lot harder to tame, and it will spin out on you on some corners, which is really annoying even at high speed. However, it does have a lot of downforce, it's rear-wheel drive, and it does have a pretty high top speed as well. Overall, the Emrys is definitely very good at racing. It also has a decent amount of customization, not as much as I would have liked, but it is an awesome car. It is based off of the McLaren Senna as well, which is just an added bonus. Next up at number 3, we have the Benefactor LM87 coming in at $2,915,000. This thing was released with the Criminal Enterprises DLC back in the summer of 2022, and ever since it has been the absolute undisputed fastest car on last-gen consoles for racing and in free mode. This thing is absolutely insane. It is based off of an old Mercedes race car, and in-game it translates to having an extremely high amount of downforce, a very high top speed, and great handling. The acceleration off the line is definitely a little bit on the weaker side, but beyond that, once you start moving, this thing does not stop moving. It is insanely fast. It has great brakes, it's got a ton of customization. Overall, it is just an extremely fast car. So if you're looking for a really good car to have, the Benefactor LM87 is definitely the best pick you can possibly make for last gen in terms of just pure performance. At number 2, we have a free car, or a car that costs $2,235,000 to $2,980,000, and this is of course the Ocelot Virtue, which I'm sure you've probably heard of. This thing is a fully electric vehicle. It has the best acceleration in the entire game, especially on last gen. On new gen, it's probably second to the Coil Cyclone 2 with the HSW upgrade, but it is absolutely insane performance-wise, and it also has some extra goodies as well, because this thing is an Amani Tech capable supercar, meaning that it can have the missile lock-on jammer applied to it, as well as an oil slick proximity mine dropper and an armor plating upgrade, allowing this thing to take about 12 RPGs, which is nuts. Obviously, with the missile lock-on jammer, nobody's going to be able to lock onto you as well, so that's an extra added bonus, and if somebody's chasing you, you can spin them out with the oil slick proximity mines that this thing can drop. It's insane. It has a ton of customization, and you can get it for free by completing the first and last dose missions from the Drug Wars DLC that released in late 2022. The Virtue is an awesome car. It's very good looking. It has great performance, although the top speed is relatively low because it is an electric vehicle, of course. But beyond that, this thing is absolutely crazy. Definitely pick up an Ocelot Virtue, especially if you can get it for free. Now for a couple of honorable mentions, we have the Overflawed Entity MT coming in at $2,355,000 and an additional $850,000 for the HSW upgrade. Now, this thing is only an honorable mention if you can put HSW on this thing, which means you need the PS5 or the Xbox Series X or S. If not, don't even consider this an honorable mention because it's not that good. However, with HSW, this thing is pretty crazy. It's very fast. It handles really nicely. It's got a lot of customization. It's a very good looking vehicle, and it definitely deserves a spot in the honorable mentions on this list. And now for all platforms, we have another honorable mention, and this is the Pegassi Torero XO, coming in at $2,890,000. This thing is one of the fastest straight line vehicles in the entire game, particularly on last gen. It has all-wheel drive, it has a super high top speed of in the 130s, and the acceleration is absolutely awesome. However, the only problem that the Torero XO has that is preventing it from having an actual spot on this list is the fact that the car doesn't have any downforce, meaning that it cannot go around a corner. It definitely can go around a corner, just not convincingly or very well. You're going to lose a lot of speed and you might even spin out a little bit. The Torero is awesome looking though. It has a ton of customization and the straight line performance is pretty much unmatched, especially on last gen. And finally, the number one best supercar to own in Grand Theft Auto Online in 2024 is the Pegassi Weaponized Ignis. Now this thing has a price increase of up to $4.5 million. It used to only be $3,245,000, but Rockstar decided that was too cheap. Now you can also put HSW on this thing, making it $5 million even, and it is the fastest supercar in the entire game. It's crazy, and of course this is exclusive to next generation consoles, the Xbox Series X and S, as well as the PS5, which is very unfortunate. I would love this thing on PC, but I guess not, so that's okay. It has a decent amount of customization as well as a top mounted minigun that is front facing. Unfortunately, it doesn't turn around. It is only front facing and you only get about, I would say, like 80 degrees of motion sort of thing. It's not that great. But it comes with a missile lock-on jammer as a matter of fact too, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, no armor upgrade, so it still does only take one explosive to blow up, but you're probably not going to get hit because this thing is just too fast. You can get away very, very easily in this car. It's pretty good looking. Overall, it is just an awesome supercar to have, and definitely it is the best in the entire game. There you have it, guys. Those are my picks for the top 10 best supercars in Grand Theft Auto Online in 2024. Let me know what you thought of my list in the comments down below. Did I miss any vehicles? Please tell me down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care. Peace.